he might. He says, "Thou hast prepared this salvation in the presence of all people," verse 32, "a light of revelation to the Gentiles and the glory of thy people Israel." I want you to notice that Simeon sees Christ not only as the King of the Jews, but already, and this is one of Luke's concerns, it is that we might understand that Christ is the universal Savior. Not like at the Parliament of World Religions where he was talked about as the Savior of the West, but we have a different Savior in the East. No, he is the revelation not just to the Jews, but to the Gentiles and to the world. And his glory swallows up all the other glories in the world, something like the sun in its brightness swallows up the light of the stars. "We beheld his glory," said John, "the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." Well, folks, that's my introduction. I hope you didn't think that that was the sermon. This is only the warm-up. What we'd like to do now is to look at the words of Simeon and consider those words in three images that he uses to convey messages about what this little baby is all about. First of all, I want you to notice that Simeon uses the imagery of a stone, He says, verse 34, "Behold, this child is appointed for the fall and the rise of many in Israel." We can't help but remember the imagery in the New Testament of Jesus Christ being a stone, and that's really based on an Old Testament prediction. Now, first of all, throughout the Bible, we find that God is spoken of as a rock. Psalm 18, verse 2, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress, my rock in whom I will take refuge." And you remember in the book of Daniel, it is this stone that is hewn out of a mountain that comes and smashes the kingdoms, and the stone turns out to be Christ. But I'm thinking particularly of Psalm 118, verse 22, where it says that the stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. And then in Luke chapter 22, Jesus says, "Whoever falls on this stone will be broken," as he recognizes his desperate need. "But on whomsoever that stone shall fall, it will grind him to powder." For those who accept Jesus Christ, he is a stone that leads them another step higher in their walk with God, a stone in which they can take refuge and find strength. But to those who reject him, he becomes a stone of stumbling, a rock of offense. He is tossed away, though he is God's chief cornerstone. Now, with that background, let's look at the words of Simeon again. "Behold, the child is appointed for the fall and the rise of many in Israel." Those who come to that stone and recognize him to be the cornerstone, and those who fall on that stone, crushed themselves, recognizing their need, will find he raises them. He takes people who are nobodies and he makes them into somebodies. But then there are those who are going to take offense and who are going to miss the whole point. And they will be the ones who will stumble. And even though this is a reference to the nation Israel, you know that the Apostle Paul says that the gospel of Jesus Christ and the preaching of the cross is to those who perish foolishness. He says to the Jews it is a stumbling block, and to the Greeks it is foolishness. Why do people stumble over Christ? Why do they stumble over the cross? Why do they stumble over God's chief cornerstone? Well, this is Pastor Lutzer, my friend, and you know, of course, that Jesus Christ oftentimes is a stumbling block. What I'd like to do in the next moment that is still allotted to me on this broadcast is to encourage you to share Jesus Christ with others. Perhaps you've heard me say also that the way we can do it is to ask people a simple question. Who is Jesus Christ to you? In your opinion, who is Jesus? You open that discussion, you let them talk, you listen carefully, you respond. It doesn't mean that you need to know a whole lot. You don't have to be a professional theologian. But gently guide the conversation. Give your testimony as to what Jesus Christ means to you and how he set you free and took away your burden of sin. And who knows, God may use your testimony to open the life and the heart of someone else so that they too will come to believe on the Savior. So glad that you have joined us today, and as we think about Simeon who held the baby Jesus in his arms, we're reminded of the fact that this baby is the one who eventually, of course, became our Savior and then died for us as our Savior and is coming again. So from my heart to yours, I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas season, and I hope that you'll continue to join us and to support the ministry of Running to Win, because, as is frequently said, it is supported by listeners like you.
Thank you, Dr. Lutzer. On this Christmas edition of Running to Win, Dr. Erwin Lutzer has brought part one of A Man Who Cradled God in His Arms, the story of Simeon. Running to Win comes to you from the Moody Church in Chicago. Today's message can be yours on CD, sent as our thank you when you give a gift of any amount to support Running to Win. Just call us at 1-800-215-5001. That's 1-800-215-5001. On the Internet, go to offerrtw.com. That's offerrtw, all one word, .com. Or write to us at Running to Win, Box 11174, Chicago, Illinois, 60611. This is Dave McAllister. Join us tomorrow for more of our look at Simeon on our next Christmas edition of Running to Win.